The largest crocodile ever to be caught in Australia was a 20-footer by the name of Old Charlie. In 1974, some fish poachers set up a net in the Northern Territory, specifically in the Mary River. After setting up the illegally placed net, a crocodile of enormous size was tangled and pulled to shore. The crocodile surprisingly did not drown and was still alive. Unfortunately though, the poachers killed the crocodile with an axe. The poachers took several photos of the crocodile to show off their prize. They then decided to cut off the head of the animal and skin the carcass. However, the poachers were arrested for their actions and the headless and skinned body of the crocodile remained. During this time, it was discovered that the crocodile had bullets embedded in his left orbital bone and palate. The most likely reason for this was that Old Charlie was shot during the old days of crocodile hunting and survived up until this point. A wildlife officer by the name of Mr. V. Peterson was the one in charge of measuring the headless body. The body was 548 centimeters, or just under 18 feet long. Official head measurements were taken by scientists Graham Webb and Harry Messel. The skull of Old Charlie was 66.6 centimeters, or a little over 2 feet long. This made the crocodile at least 615 centimeters, or 20 feet 2 inches. The crocodile also had a head length to total body length ratio of 1 to 9.23. Although claims of other large crocodiles exist in the country, these measurements made Old Charlie the largest crocodile ever to be officially measured in Australia. While Old Charlie is considered by many to be a valid 20-foot crocodile, some do not believe so. While there is photographic evidence and a large enough skull to prove this was a large crocodile, the fact the body of the crocodile and the head measurements were measured separately by different groups of individuals worries some that the accuracy of the length may be off. However, considering Webb and Messel trusted the measurements of Mr. V. Peterson for their study, along with the skull that exists and the photos, I would consider Old Charlie as a valid 20-foot crocodile. Only time will tell if another Australian salty will take his place. To learn more about the animals you just saw, buy my book, What We Get Wrong About Crocodilians. It examines claims of giant crocodiles, a World War II massacre, their regenerating tails, alligators and sewers, their record land speeds, and more. The book looks at a variety of subjects many people, including experts, get wrong about these animals, and I desperately wanted to dispel the myths that have persisted so long. Buy What We Get Wrong About Crocodilians in physical or digital formats. Link in bio, comments, or description to buy. Norman River of Queensland, Australia, a shot was fired at a large saltwater crocodile. This was a big croc, but when the hunters approached the animal, it became apparent this was a modern-day monster. After measuring the beast, it was revealed to be possibly the largest crocodile ever recorded. This is the story of Krys the Savannah King. The story begins with the woman this crocodile is named after, Krystyna or Krys Pawlowski. She was a Polish immigrant that moved to Australia in the late 1940s but would become one of the most well-respected crocodile hunters in Australia. One Shot was her nickname, as she was known for having precise accuracy when shooting crocodiles. Krystyna and her husband Ron would get heavily involved in the crocodile hunting industry, selling the skins of the crocs they shot. However, it would be an unforgettable encounter in 1957 that would give them fame. In 1957, Krystyna shot a saltwater crocodile in the Norman River of Queensland, Australia. As Krystyna and Ron approached the crocodile, it became obvious that this was no normal croc. This was truly something seen from the Mesozoic. Ron measured the crocodile in the riverbank, and the crocodile measured 28 feet in length, making it one of, if not the largest crocodile ever to be recorded. As Krystyna and Ron tried to retrieve the crocodile, it became obvious this would be an impossible task. Pictures were taken of the crocodile and the carcass was left in the riverbank, never to be seen again. The crocodile would gain a legendary status and would be named Krys the Savannah King. A statue was even built to honor the massive reptile. Krys is considered to be the largest crocodile ever recorded, but the fact of the matter is, it's not. In fact, there are a few issues with the story of Krys the crocodile. The first fact is that there is nothing recorded to look back on. All we have is the word of these respected hunters. Also, this photo here is not Krys. This photo that's been floating around online claiming to be Krys was actually taken in 1914, not 1957. A clearer photo also shows how forced perspective was used to make the croc appear bigger, so the crocodile shown here is most likely not even 20 feet. In addition, the supposed photos taken of Krys were lost in the Brisbane floods of 1974, so there is no existing evidence to look back on to verify this croc. Another aspect that's suspicious is that, as far as I'm aware, no attempt was made to cut off the head of the animal, a common prize for croc hunters. However, there is one factor that should be brought up which gives some validity to the claims of Christina and Ron. This factor comes from this man trusting their story. The man pictured here is Graham Webb, and if you don't know who he is considered one of the many grandfathers of modern crocodilian science. A good chunk of what we know about these animals right now comes from the research Graham Webb did starting in the late 20th century. He was quoted saying, "I spent 3 days talking with Ron, and everything else he told me about crocodiles turned out to be very precise indeed. I can't imagine him fabricating something like this." I actually contacted Graham Webb for verification of this quote as I was writing a book that looked at the story of this crocodile, and he told me that both Christina and Ron were accurate observers of crocodiles and did not believe they'd make something like this up. He also told me how Ron always described the eyes of the crocodile as huge, like an apple. If true, the head of this crocodile must have been massive, like a modern-day Deinosuchus. While the story of Krys cannot be verified and therefore can't be considered the world's largest crocodile, it is indeed an interesting story if true. Only time will tell if we'll ever get to see another modern-day dinosaur like Krys. To learn more about the animals you just saw, buy my book, What We Get Wrong About Crocodilians. It examines claims of giant crocodiles, a World War II massacre, their regenerating tails, alligators and sewers, their record land speeds, and more. The book looks at a variety of subjects many people, including experts, get wrong about these animals, and I desperately wanted to dispel the myths that have persisted so long. Buy What We Get Wrong About Crocodilians in physical or digital formats. Link in bio, comments, or description to buy.